Alrighty. Cool. So, um, I think first what we should do is just get you to introduce yourself. Let me know who you are. Just like a hello, my name is, and I
Hi.
am.
Yeah.
Go for it.
So my name is Tammy, or Tamara Hew Butler, and I'm an associate professor of exercise physiology at Wayne State University in downtown Detroit. So yeah, and I love water. So I
Yeah.
yeah. So I guess that's it. I won't go into like how I got into it, but it was a very strange story.
So you would consider yourself a water expert.
I've probably read 90% of the research articles from 1923 all the way to the present. So I don't consider myself an expert, but I've read a lot about water. And I got into it because runners started to die by drinking too much water. And
Oh, how
yeah,
much?
so at the time we didn't know if people drink too much water or they're losing too much salt. But it finds out is if you do sit down and drink too much water, particularly when you exercise, your brain explodes, and you can die. So who would have known that?
Yeah, who would have known that? I am personally on a quest right now to figure out what is the best type of water I should be drinking. I know that there's a lot of different, I don't know, debates is the right word on how much you should be drinking. We'll get to that question later, but I'm trying to figure out what is the best type of water to be drinking. So I've been challenging myself each day to try a different type of water, and I'm going to explain what I mean by that. I've been
Okay.
on a challenge to consume only regular tap water for a day. I did a full day of soda water. I did a full day of only drinking electrolyte water. I did a day of no water at all, only getting water
Okay.
from food. And then my last day, I'm going to
Okay.
go and pump some
Drink a
water
river.
from a stream, purify it myself, and drink it for a day. So that is
That's really interesting. But that goes back down to water is essential for life. Period. End of story. Whether they go to Mars or whatever. So it actually doesn't matter what form it's in, as long as you get the H2O or the liquid part of it. You know,
right.
interesting. So again, too, when they first made the recommendations, and we'll probably go into this a little bit later too. Where did the 8x8 come from? Which is like 2 liters. That actually, came from earlier studies by the USDA and the, RDA. And what they found with the studies was that most people, and again, too, like I'm 90 pounds, a football player is 300 pounds. So there's one variability, is that most people require about 2 liters of fluid. So, but that's water included in juices, in watermelon and fruits, in the foods that you eat. So again, too, that water content encompass all of the liquids that were available in what you ingested. But I think what happened in the 80s, maybe into the 90s, is like water bottle companies got into that and made a big marketing campaign, was like, oh, you need 8 glasses of plain water. And so it turned the 8 glasses or 2 liters of moisture that your body probably needs to burn the calories and remove waste products to 2 liters of plain water. And I think that shift made it really confusing. And then again, too, once you found that, oh my gosh, you can drink this stuff out of the tap is probably safer than the stuff that you'll actually get in a bottle because it's more heavily regulated. So then what happened is then we have oxygenated water, alkaline water, acid water, like electrolyte water. We have all these different forms, but again, your body just needs the H2O. So even to if some people like don't eat some cultures, they don't even drink water. They get
Really?
all the moisture from the foods. There's even certain animals like the kangaroo rat that lives in the desert who never drinks water can actually metabolize all the water from the foods that they eat. So, if you to me it's like what's the best water? Well, it's the water that you like the taste of and that you're going to drink. I mean, that's really what's going to drive it. So again, to like even with the animal studies, how do you make an animal drink more? People are like, well, how do you make us, drink more water if we need it? You actually think you give them sugar water because they like the sugar. So, I mean, that's the take home. One alkaline is not better than purified, which is not better than the only thing to stay away from is distilled because that's like completely devoid of all like minerals.
Right. I was
So,
gonna ask, like, how does mineral content affect hydration?
so I don't know how much it affects hydration. So again, too, there's in especially in Eastern Europe, they're hot in like mineral water. So again, too, the minerals are more medicinal. So oh, you need magnesium and calcium and like a lot of irons where we live have like iron. So they add more of a mineral component. They don't really affect the water. The water is just a solution that they're a vehicle for you to get those nutrients,
Right.
minerals and vitamins. So, there's nothing magical about these different types. The river water and the tap water. I mean, your body just like, I just need the water, you know?
Right.
And but the confusing part is, we all focus on how much water. But the secret is your body, when we talk about fluid balance, it's actually the balance of water to salt that's important to your body. And so you've heard of like osmosis, and so like yeah, so water can shift in and out of like cells into your body like freely, but like the minerals can't. So that's why there's a certain amount of salt that you have to have in a relationship to the water that is important to regulate cell size, which is important because if you don't drink anything, everything's going to shrink up like a raisin. That's how we die.
Right.
Or explode. If you drink too much water, all the cells explode. And that's again too because it's too much water to the amount of salt or sodium in your blood. That's probably getting down the line. But again, but that's that balance between water and salt is what your body defends. And so we all talk about the water, but how much water in relationship to the salt is really the magic that your body, the magic that keeps us all alive.
So that's so interesting that you mentioned that. Is it salt from food, or do you mean salt in water? Do you mean like all of it together?
All of it together. So again, too, like in our world, our external world, they get
Mm-hmm.
water from so many different things, like of, even just food. But you can get salt from a lot of different things too.
Right.
Too, it's like it's that combination that your body actually regulates. So again, too, if you go to a bar, what do they give you?
Water? Or what do you mean?
Well, no, they give no, yeah. So there's like there's salty snacks. There's
Right.
peanuts and there's like salted pretzels because they want to sell more beer. Because if
Right.
they get more salt, you get thirsty and you have to down it with, if you have water, that's great. But most people they want them to buy the beer. So again to what we eat and drink, our body tries to regulate the perfect balance. And that balance is by okay, we eat and drink, but how much we actually pee out. Yeah.
Makes sense.
So that's the regular, if you drink whatever water that you drink, wherever the source, if you take in too much, you're just gonna, you're gonna pee out the excess. And that's normal.
Right. Right.
But if you need it, you'll get like super thirsty. So the day that you didn't have any water, or the day that you just had like food, did you like have any change in like how thirsty that you became?
I just felt like I I think I got thirsty faster. I don't know. Like I just felt like I wanted to just keep eating.
Yeah.
I was just like I ate grapefruit that day. I had grapes. Like I ate a lot of cucumbers. Like I was just like
Moisty stuff.
munching all day.
Yeah. Yeah. Moisty stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
But you got the water from that. So again, too, after football practice, we bring out the watermelon and the salt.
Right. Right.
You get both, and what you don't need, yeah, pee out. But what you do need, you'll like totally keep in your body.
I was wondering. So you said like we were talking about earlier that there's that whole like 8 by 8 rule, right?
Yeah,
Or who knows? Like
yeah.
what is a good rule to go by? Like how much water should you be drinking a day? Like is there a 2 liter rule, or is it just like I've heard like drink when you're thirsty? Like how should I know when to drink water and how much to drink?
There's no, I mean, if you really think about it, there's no magic number that's going to hit everybody. I mean, so again, too, how much water you need kind of depends on how much water that you lose. So one of the things that affects it is like size. Again, so I'm 90 pounds on a good day. You look pretty small too. But again, too, like our athletes are 300 pounds. Are we going to need the same amount? No. If you're outside in Arizona, I don't know where you live.
I'm in Toronto.
Oh, in Toronto. Okay. So if you're outside and it's really, really hot and you're going to sweat more, you're going to need more water. Or the harder that you exercise, you're going to sweat more, you're going to need more water. So to say that everybody needs 8 glasses of water a day to be healthy is not true, because we're not all 70-kilogram albino like rats who do
Right.
the same thing every day. The needs are going to be different. Like let's say, okay, we all need 1,000 calories. End of story. That's not true. You know that's not true. So,
Right.
so again, too, I don't, the rule kind of came from like the 8 glasses or 2 liters of like moisture from foods that got like manipulated in a marketing standpoint into these 8 glasses of water. And now it's like been like ingrained in our heads, like, oh my God, if I don't do that, it's not healthy. So how much water do you need? Again, because water is essential to life, and particularly the balance between water and salt, it's regulated by our bodies. And that's why we have kidneys. And you only need one, but we actually have like two. So again, too, when your body needs water, there's like these sensors that are like in your brain. They're in your brain, and they're always sampling the blood that comes like through the brain. So if it becomes less water, there's more salt and it becomes salty. You get thirsty, and thirst is regulated by the brain. So, but if you like say, oh, like I like this coffee, let's go to drink, and you drink too much, the way we regulate that is like, then you pee. So again, too, like these gallon challenges, like, well, you're always going to the bathroom because you're taking in
Too much.
much. So again, how much do you need? Your brain actually is tasting this all the time as we're sitting here. So when you get thirsty, that's a sign that, hey, we need a little bit more water to dilute the salt. And again, too, if you're drinking more water and you're not thirsty, it's actually painful. So again, too, if you're trying to drink, yeah. So if you're trying to drink your 8 glasses of pure water in addition, it's hard, and it lights up the areas of your brain that actually signifies pain, and it makes it harder too.
On my very first day of my challenge, I was trying to calculate like how much water I was supposed to drink. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna like on my tap water day, I was like, I don't really have a recommended number, so I'm just gonna like try to drink 2 liters of water.
Yeah.
That day, like, I don't know, didn't have that much physical activity or anything. I couldn't finish it. I couldn't finish
Yeah.
2 liters of
Yeah,
water.
no, it's painful, it hurts your stomach, and then you're peeing like all the time. But
Yeah.
so again, this is ingrained in our brains, in our nervous system. It's in our DNA, and it goes back to what I read. The gene that encodes the main hormone that regulates water goes back 700 million years. It goes back to like worms, and it goes back to like flies, and even flies have kidneys. So that's how important water balance is to all living mammals and insects in the world. So to say that we need a special amount, and that there's no internal signal, is like it doesn't it goes against evolution, because it's necessary for life. So it's like, how we regulate temperature. 98.6. You can go a little bit above if you get a little bit below, but if you go too far above, you're not dead. Same thing. Water. Go too much, you're going to explode. If you get too little, you're just going to like shrivel up. So again, too, there are so many mechanisms in our physiology linked to the cranial nerves and linked to our kidneys that do it for us. It's better than any phone app or bottle reminder that's out there, because it's actually inside our body. So it works for everybody in every situation.
So you said that this gene, or the hormone that we have that tells us like that regulates our water,
Water,
right?
yeah.
You said that existed in our bodies. Did you say 70 million years ago or 700?
700 million years. This gene has been in the DNA of like animal life.
Wow.
Like, yeah, C. elegans, the worm, it's in the worm. So again, too, is it important? Yeah. It's what we call evolutionarily conserved. To go back 700 million years and to evolve, that actually means something, that it's a highly protective mechanism. So we don't need to, we can drink whatever, if we drink, like I said, whatever we do, our body adjusts for it.
Right.
So most of the time we don't get ourselves in trouble, but in the extreme cases we do. But there's no magic number. The 8 glasses of water a day isn't going to give you like beautiful skin and like solve your digestive problems
Mhm.
and cure your COVID and immune system. It's like, there isn't a magic number that's going to be right for everybody in every situation.
Right. And
Yeah. So
so
even yeah,
I was going to say that, like, and so like 700 million years ago, I'm assuming people got water from, streams and
yeah,
like food and everything. But now there's all
yes,
these different types of water that we were talking about earlier. There's like
yes.
you said, alkaline water, electrolyte water, soda water.
Yeah, oxygen water,
Yeah.
but
Like,
go on.
go ahead. I was going to say that, like, do do those different types of water, like, do they hydrate you differently at all? Like, is there any difference in them?
No,
No.
drink the beer, drink the soup, all of that's drink the tea and the coffee. It's all gonna do the same thing, and everything else is like fluff. If you don't need the minerals and the vitamins, you're gonna pee that out too. So every one water is not better than the other. And the only caveat there, and this is even about water, but if you drink alcohol, the chemical alcohol will actually change the hormone, antidiuretic hormone balance, so you will lose a little bit more water. But other than that, the moisture that you get from a variety of foods and variety of beverages is going to be the same. Okay, one qualifier: if you have something salty,
Mm-hmm.
retain the water a little bit better.
Okay.
So that's why, people with congestive heart failure or like heart problems, like high blood pressure, what do they say? Don't, decrease your salt, because the salt will actually help you retain the water. So, that's again to the beauty of the balance between salt and water. That's important. And that's the secret that goes behind that people don't know about in terms of like how much water that you need. It's more about the salt than it is
Right.
about.
And like how your body can retain the water.
Yeah.
Makes sense. One thing that the one like last question that I had, going back to when I was doing some like preliminary research on like all these different types of water, I came across, like we talked about earlier, distilled water.
Yeah.
And I was kind of like, what I'd read was that we shouldn't be drinking distilled water because there's like nothing in it or whatever. There's like, I don't know. Like
Yeah.
I was wondering if you could
Yeah.
like explain that a bit more to me, because I was just like, what's going on with distilled water? What is that?
Yeah. So this is actually from a conversation I had with a chemist. And so most waters have some sort of like residual minerals to it.
Right.
Like the mineral water, like that comes out of the springs, it's supposed to have all the therapeutic stuff. But anyway, with distilled water, it has all the minerals taken out of it. Because again, too, if you're using it for your iron and stuff like that, you don't want to get clogged. So
Right.
if you're drinking something that's completely devoid of minerals, and this is what she says, then sometimes like parts of your digestion, they want some minerals to it, so it'll take it like out of like out of other areas. So for me, one of my interests of study is like our skeleton, calcium. It's a storage for a lot of different minerals. So again, too, does it actually, if you need minerals in your body, you may, because you're only drinking distilled water, you may actually leach it like from other parts of the body, like your skeleton, saying, hey,
Hmm.
all I'm drinking is distilled, but again, too, it's probably in extreme cases like all you're drinking is distilled water. If you need some minerals because that's all you're taking in, you will leach it from other parts of your body.
Right.
That's where that comes from. But I don't think that people are going to drink excessive amounts of distilled water to actually probably cause that problem. And then again, too, that's probably if you're not eating any food. So where should you get your minerals and your calories and your vitamins from your
Right.
food? But I'm going to actually go back to a comment that you mentioned before. It is, we live now in a society of excess. So back then, we didn't have too much. We were built for times where we didn't have enough. We didn't have enough food, or we didn't have enough water. But our physiology is not built for actually taking in too much. So now, like at marathons or like you go to the store, too many choices, you know, like every like half mile, like, oh, you know, oh, I got to drink all this water and food. I mean, so we're not designed to eat all that. And so again, too, the only thing is we have is like we just store it all. Same thing as water. We're not meant to drink all that. So the only other option other than peeing it out is like when people drink way too much, they start to vomit the water. And that's pretty much our only mechanism that we have against excess. And so that's where our society has gone as well. We were all built for scarcity. That's where the physiology is. But now we're in an environment of excess, and we're seeing all these different problems, you know, and some of it, a lot of it's self-created.
When you say a lot of different problems, do you mean like societal, or do you mean like bodily problems because of water?
Like so creating our own problems, like, you know, so we've made foods addictive. So made foods that are like, and, you know, stimulate dopamine, serotonin, where they're like we want to eat more because the chemicals make the foods addictive. So now, and then we exercise less because now we're all inside doing all this. And so obesity is a huge problem. So again, too, with obesity comes insulin resistance and hypertension. So, you know, we have all of those problems, but again, too, it's probably because the foods that we eat are more processed and we don't exercise them as much. But the same thing as water, you know, so we were built for not having enough and getting really, really thirsty. So whatever fluid is available, you will get to. But now that we have so much and you're drinking all this stuff, you know, you can only pee out like, you know, so much. But again, too, you know, we listen to all of the information that's around us. So again, too, you know, these YouTube videos, they're fantastic. But, you know, now Twitter, like, you know, all the information you need. I read one article, and so this is it, and that's all you need to know. Like, I mean, so for someone like me, maybe not an expert, but I've probably read, like I said, 90% of the papers, which is like hundreds from 1923. And so again, too, it's not that simple. It's not how much should I drink? It is so much more complicated than that, because it depends on who you are and what your situation is, and that varies. We're all special. We are all special because we're individuals. We're not the same. And again, too, so you can't give us all the same boring recommendation because it doesn't fit.
I think that's a great takeaway from all of this. Thank you so much. Like,
thank you.
This was so helpful. I'm going to still drink water from a stream and see how that day goes.
Yeah, that's interesting though. At least you're gonna filter it though. But I think that's a really interesting experiment. So, you know, you'll talk about that in your little piece. I'd like to actually hear about what, you know, what your conclusions were.
Yeah. I will definitely send this video along when it's ready. It's coming out next week. So thank you so much for chatting with me. This was so helpful. Do you have anything else that you wanted to add on before I close this off?
But good luck. So again, too, did you feel that any water was any different?
Personally, the day that I had electrolyte, I got these electrolyte tablets to like put in water. That day, I didn't drink anything until 3 p.m. I had coffee in the morning, but I didn't feel thirsty until 3 p.m. because I had to go get these tablets. Put them in my water. I drank it. You're supposed to like sip it slowly or something. You're not supposed to like chug this water. I don't know why. That was just the directions. I had one glass of water and I didn't feel thirsty after that. And then like several hours later, I was like, maybe I should have some water again. So I did another. So several hours later, I was like, oh, okay, maybe I should drink something again. This is at 10 p.m. So like I had a glass of water at 4 o'clock and then a glass of water at 10. And I was like, well, I don't feel like I'm dying. So probably it's fine.
Yeah. Well, you know, the lecture, I mean, probably became a little bit for you though, but that's interesting. But I will leave you with this. You know, so a lot of the studies show, I mean, there's something that the more water you drink, the more mentally alert that you are. But a lot of those studies is like you give half of the people like water and you give half of the people like nothing. So it's like a placebo effect. So one researcher gave them like water and then red water. We just had some dye in it. And so again, in that case, it's like, ooh, the red water did better than like the regular water. So again, our brain has a trick us to think that we're doing something good for our body, but our body just like fixes it most of the time anyway. So.
Yeah. And I think also like every single day, the food that I had definitely influenced how much water or how thirsty that I felt and how much activities. Like these weren't very controlled scientific experiments, but it was just
interesting. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you for sharing this topic. I think, it's an important topic because again, people do die from drinking too much water. So. I'm glad that you're educating and look forward to seeing the final product.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm going to let you get on with the rest of your day then. Thank you so much. Have a good one.
You too. Bye. How do I get out of here?
Nice. Well, I guess I'm going to go and continue with my challenge.